We in this campaign reject entirely the arguments for cuts in pensions, wage freezes, cuts in services. We don't accept the working people caused the crisis that erupted in 2008. Capitalism itself is inherent in periodic crises. What triggers those crises changes time to time. In the 70s it was the oil shock. This time around it was the gambling, speculation and the bankers in the housing and the derivative markets. The trigger may change, but the lust for profit by a tiny number of people at the top of society is what drives these problems, and we reject that our families should pay for that. There is an alternative. The Tories want to cut about £100 billion off every year's spending in the public sector. A chap called Richard Murphy works for a body called Tax Justice, done some work for several trade unions, has gone through all the accounts of companies and individuals nationally and worked out there's about £120 billion a year which is avoided or evaded and should be paid in tax, but isn't because of relocation of people's tax affairs abroad. You know, we're socialist left-wingers are often accused of being unpatriotic. What's more unpatriotic than these business people locating their accounts in the Cayman Islands or in Jersey or Guernsey or Bahamas or wherever it is in order to avoid paying their fair share of society's costs? It's worse than that. 98 of the top 100 companies in this country have done that. Barclays in the news this week because of Bob Diamond's £17.5 million payments last year. 400 of their top executives have had their employment contracts relocated to an offshore subsidiary of a Dutch company so that both for employment reasons and financial and accountancy reasons they're not subject to the law of the land. Deloitte, an accounts firm, about 2 months ago, brought out a report that said the biggest companies in Britain are sitting on £731 billion of cash because they don't think if they make something they could sell it and realise a profit. Part of the reason for that is in the recession, when you cut and you drive down people's living standards and wages, they're even less able to buy back the things that they've created. Less able in capitalism anyway, but even less able when the wages and the living conditions are being driven down. £731 billion is over 7 years of the target of the government in cuts. So whether it's taxing the rich properly so that their wealth is used by the majority of society rather than a tiny minority, whether it's saying these big companies, if they're refusing to use that profit that they've made out of us, then we should go back to some old ideas of nationalisation, of expropriation, what the Argentinians have done to their oil assets over the past couple of weeks, and bring that money and those assets into public use so it can be used properly for ordinary people, their families and their needs. What's sort of 30-year history in this town? In standing in elections as socialists. I've had 14 years on the council. Rob had about 8 when we were together there. We don't have to, in a sense, make promises because we've got a record, whether it's sharing the living standards of those we represent, whether it's being uncompromising in putting forward socialist ideas and defending communities. We have a record of which I think as a party we're justly proud. We want to extend that and expand that and make it such a part of the political furniture in this town that not a debate can take place without the genuine ideas of working class socialism being part of that. We've got candidates in every part of Coventry. Where are you from? In 17 of the 18 wards there's a socialist alternative candidate. We're supporting Bill in Fosel as an independent campaigner from the community defending services and the leisure centre in Fosel, and ask you to vote for Bill if you're in that area. Join us, help us in the campaign in the last few days. Join us in this party and help us build something that can restore to working people and their families a real prospect of hope, that life could be different.